What will happen when someone strange shows up at the gate of a military base? Not an enemy, not a spy, but a full-grown wild tiger. It doesn't roar, it doesn't attack. Every morning, just after sunrise, it shows up like clockwork, standing quietly and staring through the gates. The soldiers are confused. Is it dangerous? Is it watching them? Or is it trying to say something? What happens next is a mystery that leads deep into the forest, and it's a story no one saw coming. The story begins in Siliguri, in the Darjeeling district of West Bengal, where a military base was hidden deep inside the forest. This wasn't just any base, it was an important one, built to watch over enemies and keep the region safe. But something very unusual was happening at this base, something no one had expected. Every morning, just after sunrise, a full-grown tiger showed up at the gates. Yes, a real tiger at a military base. But it didn't come to attack. It didn't run or roar. Instead, it walked slowly, looked straight at the soldiers, and let out soft growls. Not angry growls, more like it was trying to say something. The soldiers were shocked. Why was this tiger coming back every day? What did it want? Something was clearly not right. The first time it happened, the soldiers panicked. One of them raised his gun and asked if he should shoot, but another quickly stopped him. The tiger wasn't attacking. It was just standing there watching them. The soldiers didn't know what to do. They were trained to fight enemies, not deal with wild animals. And yet, this tiger kept coming back. Day after day, it appeared at the gates. The men started to feel afraid. Some remembered old stories from their villages, stories of tigers taking away animals, and sometimes even people. The tiger's return every morning made them more and more uneasy. But when the tiger kept coming back, one soldier decided to report it to the unit commander. At first, the commander didn't believe him, but then he saw the tiger with his own eyes. From his window, he watched it slowly walk up to the gate, stop, and look inside. It didn't growl or act wild, but something about its behavior felt strange. The commander knew this wasn't normal, so he made a brave decision. He contacted a local zoologist from a nearby town, a man who studied big cats. The zoologist arrived quickly because the commander warned him that if the tiger attacked his men, they would have no choice but to shoot it. The zoologist didn't want the soldiers to harm the tiger without knowing the real reason behind its visits, so he rushed to the base right away. When the zoologist reached the base, he watched the tiger closely for 2 days. Then he said something that surprised everyone. "This tiger doesn't want to hurt anyone," he said. "She's asking for help." The soldiers were shocked. A tiger asking for help? That didn't make any sense. Some of them even laughed. But the zoologist was serious. He explained that sometimes, when wild animals are in pain or desperate, they act in strange ways. This tiger wasn't trying to attack anyone. She was in pain, and she wanted someone to follow her. He believed the tiger was trying to lead them to something important. The zoologist asked the commander to send a team to follow the tiger into the forest. The commander hesitated. It sounded dangerous. But a few brave soldiers stepped forward, ready to follow the tiger and find out the truth. The commander chose a small group of these volunteers. No one knew what they might discover, but they were prepared. They waited for morning, hoping the tiger would come back like it always did. At sunrise, the forest glowed with golden light, and just like before, the tiger appeared at the gate. It saw the soldiers standing together but didn't growl or run. Instead, it calmly turned and walked back into the forest. The soldiers quietly followed, keeping a safe distance. They trusted the zoologist, but if he was wrong, they knew they could be walking into danger. The deeper they went, the thicker the jungle became. They crossed cold streams, climbed muddy hills, and pushed through heavy branches. Hours passed, and the tiger stayed ahead, never stopping. But by nightfall, they lost sight of it. The forest had become too dark, and it was too risky to go any further. So the soldiers set up camp and decided to wait until morning. The next day, something surprising happened. The tiger returned, but this time it didn't go to the gate. Instead, it walked straight to a river near the soldiers' camp, almost like it knew they were there. It stopped at the riverbank and stared at the ground without moving. Two soldiers noticed and slowly walked closer. Suddenly, the tiger turned and ran into the trees. The soldiers were confused. Why did it leave? Were they supposed to follow it again? Then, one soldier looked closely at the spot where the tiger had been standing. Something felt strange. She had been staring at the ground the whole time. The soldier moved a few stones, and under them he found a small, dark hole. The zoologist quickly pulled out his flashlight and shined it inside. What he saw made his heart race. Two tiny pairs of eyes were staring back at him. Inside the hole were two tiger cubs, weak, scared, and trapped. Their mother had hidden them there, but flooding had blocked the entrance. She hadn't come to attack the base. She had come to ask for help, the only way she knew how. The soldiers moved quickly, because they were deep in the forest, and danger could be anywhere. They knew there wasn't much time. They tied a rope around one soldier, and he carefully climbed down to the hole. Gently, he pulled the tiny tiger cubs out of the mud. Their small bodies were cold and shaking. The soldiers wrapped them in warm blankets and carried them to dry ground, far away from the rushing water. Just as they placed the last cub down, a deep roar echoed from behind. Everyone froze. Slowly, they turned around. From the trees, the mother tiger stepped out. She looked at the group but didn't growl or attack. Instead, she calmly walked past the soldiers and went straight to her cubs. She sniffed them gently, then touched them with her nose. She didn't roar, she didn't panic. She just sat beside them, as if saying, "Thank you." The soldiers quietly stepped back to give her space. A few moments later, the tiger picked up one cub and walked into the jungle. She returned, took the second one, and disappeared again. No one said a word. What they had just seen was rare and truly beautiful. When the soldiers returned to the base, they were welcomed with cheers and smiles. Everyone had heard what they had done. These men had not only saved lives, they had shown great courage and heart. The commander, who had first doubted the mission, now stood proudly in front of them. He praised their bravery and also thanked the zoologist for his advice and instincts. The zoologist smiled and thanked the soldiers in return for trusting him. That night, the base held a small feast. It wasn't a celebration of victory in battle, but of something far more powerful: compassion. The story of the tiger rescue spread quickly. Soon it was on the news and in newspapers across the country. People everywhere were touched by the bravery and kindness of these soldiers. The government even gave them an award for their actions. But the most surprising part came later. Days after things had quieted down, a soldier at the gate suddenly shouted, "There's a tiger again!" Everyone rushed outside. To their shock, it was the same mother tiger, and this time, she wasn't alone. She had her two cubs with her. She didn't look scared, she wasn't quiet. She was roaring, loud and proud, like she was saying thank you in her own way. In that moment, the soldiers realized something deep. True courage isn't just about fighting battles, it's about protecting the helpless. And true kindness is remembered, even in the heart of a wild tiger.